And to all of the fathers, grandfathers, great-grandfathers, stepfathers, and folks who serve as fathers, happy Father's Day. As you can see from looking at your bulletin, the title of today's lesson is Living Your Legacy. In other words, live every day the way you want to be remembered. So nobody has to get up at your transitional service and lie about who you are. I'm keeping it real. Y'all hear me? And the best way to do that is to follow Matthew 5:16, which says, "Let your light shine before others so that they may see your good works." And the key word is see. "And give glory to the Father in heaven." Now, Charles Fillmore, in the Revealing Word, told us that heaven is a state of consciousness in harmony with the thoughts of God. And we know the thoughts of God are in harmony with God's nature, which is what? Absolute good. Then, Charles Fillmore went on to say that Jesus gave heaven a definite location when he said heaven is the kingdom of God within you. So the message is, if you are looking for heaven outside yourself, if you are looking for heaven outside of a state of consciousness in harmony with God's nature, you're looking for heaven in all the wrong places. Why? Because Christ in you, the Spirit of God within you, is your only hope of glory. So when I ask you where heaven is, the first thing you should do is what? Point here. Not up here, not over there, but within you. So when you live your legacy in harmony with God's nature, you let the light from the Spirit of God within you to shine. And when folks see you and what you do, guess what? They see your father, your spiritual father, because you and your spiritual father are what? One. You're one not just in your conversation, but in your demonstration. Which means you walk what you talk. You practice what you preach. You live what you learn. And when you live your legacy in harmony with God's nature, you work at living every day the way you want to be remembered. Now, what does that mean? You don't have to tell nobody who you are. You don't have to tell nobody who you are. You don't have to tell nobody you're a good husband. Let the church say. Amen. I'm going to keep it real. You don't have to tell nobody you're a good father. You don't have to tell nobody you're a good worker, a good neighbor, a good friend. Why? Because it shows. Because actions, oh, y'all are on the case. Speak louder than words. You walk what you talk, you practice what you preach, and you live what you learn. So when you show up, the Spirit of God shows out. So within, so without. Because greater is He that is in you than he that is in the world. When you live your legacy, you live every day You want to be remembered. Now listen to this, my brothers, as a husband. We'll get real with this. You live a legacy of love. Because love is not just a noun, y'all. It's a verb. And our actions speak louder than words. Our wives, our significant others will know our love when we show our love. Because love seen is better than love said. Giving her a card, some flowers, a gift. Why? Just because you what? Love her. Ain't got nothing to do with no holiday or no special occasion. I'm giving this to you just because. We live a legacy of love when we listen, when we close our mouths and open up our minds and our ears. God knew what he was doing. That's why our spiritual daddy gave us 2 ears and 1 mouth so we can listen twice as much. Let the church say. I didn't always know that, but Joyce taught that to me. That's why God, our spiritual daddy, again gave us 2 ears and 1 mouth so we can listen twice as much as we talk. And then, y'all, we live a legacy of love at home when we open up our ears and open up our hearts. Because we will never know who she is if we don't know how she feels. Y'all getting this? When you live your life in harmony with God's nature, you show your daughters, listen to me, brothers, how they're supposed to be treated by how you treat their mama. Because what they see is what they learn. And then what they learn is how they live. So if you want them to learn how to be treated right, then we gotta show them by treating their mama right. I don't see no men clapping. Woo! I didn't come up here to play no games. This is Father's Day. When you live your legacy, you live each day the way you want to be remembered as a father. Listen to me. And the most important thing that we can spend on our children is not money, it's time. And the testimony of Victor Revere is an example of that. You are an example of that. Because when his daughters wanted a friend, he was always all ears, not all mouth. And when they wanted a father, he never walked away. And when they needed backup, he was the first officer to show up. Spending time with our children makes a difference. In the book, listen to me, in the book, Black Fatherhood, a guide to male parenting by Dr. Hutchinson, he gave another testimony. And a father named Robert said this. Listen to this. I believe I am the best role model for my sons. I take care of them. I take them to school. Listen to this. I help them with their homework. I take them to basketball practice and tutoring and church. Read together, play together, and pray together. I am the most influential person in their lives, and they look toward me because that's the way it should be. Robert is a living example of living his legacy, living the way he wants to be remembered. And we need to do that every day, because every time we wake up in the morning, we got another chance. Because you didn't wake up by accident. The fact that you open your eyes means God is saying, whatever you need to get right, get it right now. You can live your legacy the way you want to be remembered with your children. Listen to me. Your grandchildren. Your great-grandchildren. And it does not matter where they live or how far away they are. Because wherever they are, a phone is. And in many instances, a computer is. Now, let me tell you what I mean by that. My granddaughter, Alexis, my grandson, Winston, and I don't know who he was named after, live in New Jersey. And on Sunday, 9 p.m. their time, and 8 p.m. my time, we have a holy hookup. You know why? Because we Skype in spirit. We have church on the computer. I'm telling you. They see me and I can see them. And we use 2 books. The Daily Word for Teens and God Loves Me. They read the lessons assigned, and then they share what they learned from it, which is an example of what I learned right here at Christ Universal Temple, practical Christianity. It works if you're working. Now listen up. I am their minister. They are my members on the computer. The only problem is they don't tithe. Let me tell you, it is one of the greatest moments of my life. They alternate opening this experience with the Lord's Prayer. And guess what? They close it with the prayer of protection. Skyping in spirit. I'm a living legacy, and I'm living the legacy every time I do that the way I want to be remembered. Teaching my grandchildren to study to show themselves approved unto God, and because wherever they are, God is. It does not matter if they're in New Jersey, because we can always have that connection. Live your legacy every day, my brothers, the way you want to be remembered. You know how? Another example. Getting involved in the schools. Getting involved in the schools, not standing around talking about how bad they are. Because when we get involved in the schools, we use our time to develop their minds so that no child will be left behind. Daddies need to go to the schools. Daddies need to go to the schools. PTA meetings, parent conference days. report card pickup days. You need to be there. When I was a principal, you know who was always at those meetings? Women. Children need to see their daddies in the schools on days other than game days. Why? To teach them to hit the books as well as the boards. I'm talking to you. Parent involvement in the schools makes a difference because it increases students' achievement. It doesn't matter where the kids are, if they're in the projects of the penthouse. When parents are actively involved in the schools, children achieve. Because when you show up, grades go up. I'm keeping it real. And even if you don't have children in the schools, they need to see your face in the place. Sometimes as a reminder of the words of Minister Malcolm, who said, education is the passport to the future because tomorrow belongs to those who prepare for it when? Today. Daddies need to be involved in the lives of their children and give up that excuse that I can't get involved because their mom and I are divorced. Please, you divorce the mama, not the children. You're no longer a daddy, but you always go be a, you're no longer a husband, but you always go be a what? A daddy. Children without, listen to me, children without a significant relationship with their fathers are much more likely to drop out of school and end up in jail. That's why when I was a principal, I used to take my boys in the male mentoring program to the jail, county jail, 26 in California, so that they could see the consequences of dropping out of school. Because the majority of the jail inmates are high school dropouts. And most all of them don't have any significant relationship with their fathers. When we spend time with our children, we reduce that possibility so they can go to Chicago State and not State Penn. Go to Chicago State and not State Penn. Morehouse and not the big house. Yale and not the jail. That's why we need to give these young people who got these scholarships today another round of applause. Woo! When we spend time with our children, we live a legacy of love. And when we spend more time catching them being good than catching them being bad. Because guess what? If we spend more time catching them being bad, whatever we give our attention to does what? Grows. So if the only way I'm going to get your attention is act up, guess what? That's what I'm going to do. We teach our children how to be good parents by being good parents to them. They live what they learn, and charity begins at home, then it spreads abroad. Now, I want you to get this. And the most important work we do, men, is not on the job. It's at home. And the most important people we work with is family. Stephen Covey made it plain. He says, when some people climb the ladder of success, they get to the top and then they realize it's leaning against the wrong wall. Why? Because they sacrificed the most important people in their lives to get there. Work is a way to make a living. Family is a way to make and build lives. And we need to have family reunions at times other than transitions. I'm talking to you. Sometimes you see people in the transition and they say, I ain't seen you since the last one. That's got to stop. And listen to this. Dion on Family Playbook kept it real when he said, your team makes all the difference. Your teammates have your back no matter what. They lift you up higher than you've ever thought you could go. Because your team is your family. And you got to stick together to win the greatest and most important game. And that's the game of what? Life. There ain't no game more important than that. So sometimes we need to turn off them games and start spending time with our children. Live your legacy. Live every day the way you want to be remembered at work, which means do your job so well that nobody can do it better. Love what you do, because, baby, when you love what you do, you never work another day, because there's no longer work. There's no longer work when you love what you do. I was a teacher for 11 and a half years, a principal for 24 years. Why? I love to teach. I do. I love to teach. I love it. And our speaker at Men's Day on yesterday was and is an Illinois State Senator, Napoleon Harris. And the brothers who were there know what I'm talking about. He was a former student at Rosa Parks Middle School, where I was the principal. He was also a student in the male mentoring program, State Senator Napoleon Harris. When he became a state senator, he invited me to the swearing-in ceremony. And during the luncheon, he quoted our school motto, "You can do it if you just stick to it." And he told the people there, I did it because I just stuck to it. I meet students that I have not seen in 20 years, and they greet me with that motto. They see me in the stores, and they say, "Oh, Dr. Johnson, you can do it if you just stick to it." I go in some schools now, and the kids don't even know who the principal is. They knew me. I was the first one they saw in the morning, the one they saw all day in the halls, and the last one they saw when they left. The lesson is live your legacy. Live every day the way you want to be remembered, because when you influence the life of a child, it affects eternity, because you never know where that influence is going to end. Live your legacy. Live every day the way you want to be remembered. Live your legacy and watch your mouth. Watch your mouth. Why? Because Proverbs 18:21 tells us that the power of life and death are where? In the tongue. There's power in the spoken word, because the words that go forth from our mouths shall not come back to us how? Void. So in reality, that means you're really talking to who? Yourself. So when we say negative things about others, we are saying negative things about ourselves. Garbage in, garbage out. So when you live a legacy in harmony with God's nature, you let the words of your mouth and the meditations of your heart be acceptable in whose sight? God's sight. And that means follow Jesus. And Jesus said, "I'm the way, the truth, and the life. No one comes unto the Father but by me." Which means if you're about to say something or do something and you say to yourself, "Would Jesus say this and do it?" And if the answer is no, guess what? Don't do it. You don't need no PhD to figure that out. Babies know about that. Because sometimes when they're about to make a move they have no business making, they kind of look. They're born with that wisdom. We need to teach our children, by example, to watch their mouths, because there is power in the spoken word. When we meet with our boys in the male mentoring program, We start the meetings with the plan to be a man rap. We rap. But listen, here's the rap. With God in my plan, I plan to be a man by working as hard as I can. I'm unrepeatable and unbeatable. I use my time to develop my mind. I plan to be a man. I plan to be a man by working as hard as I can. Amen. We teach our boys to rap about life, not death, to plan their future, not their funeral. Live your legacy the way you want to be remembered. Live a legacy of service. Instead of using our time and energy standing around complaining about how bad things are. Oh, Lord, it's so bad out there. Let's use our time and talent to do what? Make things better. Mahatma Gandhi said, you must be the change you want to see in the world. Dr. King said, everybody can be great because everybody can what? Serve. Sometimes you hear folks saying things are really bad out there. I pray that they change. Guess what? I got news for you. Prayer does not change things until prayer changes you, and then you change things. Our Father is within each one of us and has empowered us to do whatever it is that we need to do. And the Reverend Dr. Johnny Coleman made it plain when she said, you are the thinker that think the thoughts, to do what? Make the things. In other words, be not conformed to this world, but be ye transformed by the what? Renewing of your mind. So we want to see change in our communities, in our schools, in our city. If we want to see change wherever we are, men, we got to get involved. And stop talking about it and start walking about it. We need to be spiritual heroes. You saw that in the Daily Inspiration today, didn't you? And roll up our spiritual sleeves and do what? Go to work. Because whatever we are and wherever we are, God is. And with God, what? All things are possible. It's good to have faith that things are going to get better. But guess what? Faith without works is what? Dead. Working is the only evidence of your faith. When you know better, you do better. When you know better, it shows, because you show what you know. Dr. Martin Luther King lived his legacy. He did. The way he wanted to be remembered. Listen, he said, I don't want no long funeral. I don't want no long funeral. He said, if you get somebody to deliver the eulogy, tell them not to talk too long. Live in his eulogy. He said, tell them not to mention I have a Nobel Peace Prize. That's not important. Or 300 or 400 other awards. That's not important. He said, tell them that I tried to give my life serving others. Tell them that I tried to feed the hungry and clothe the naked. Tell them that I visited those in prison, that I tried to love and serve humanity. That I was a drum major for justice, a drum major for peace, and a drum major for righteousness. Tell them that I just want to live a committed life. That if I can help somebody as I pass along, if I can cheer somebody with a word or song, if I can show somebody that he's traveling wrong, then my living shall not be in vain. Live your legacy the way you want to be remembered. which means live a legacy of forgiveness. The title of the daily inspiration on May the 22nd is The Power of Forgiveness. Now listen to this. Dr. Tompkins said, "It is through forgiveness that true spiritual healing is accomplished." Dr. Tompkins. And Alan Patton said, "When a deep injury is done to us, we never recover until we forgive." Now I'm going to share some personal stuff. My mother and father divorced, as you know, because I've shared it before, when I was 6. But my daddy didn't just divorce my mama. He divorced me and my 2 brothers. He cut us out of his life. When he made his transition, we were not even informed. Talking to you. And I carried that hurt and that pain around for a long time. And then one day I was sitting in CUT when it was on 86th and State. And the Reverend Dr. Johnny Coleman was giving the lesson. And she made the statement, had he known better, listen to me, he would have done better. He did the best that he could with what he had. Now, she wasn't talking to me. Yes, she was. She was talking about something else, but it was a light bulb experience for me. And I did a background check on my daddy. And here's what I discovered. The same distant negative relationship, guess what, that he had with me, his daddy had with him. And he just did what? Picked up the script and he passed it on. And it was at that discovery that led me to decide that no matter how tough things get, I am never, ever going to leave my children. Never. Never. I took the script and I flipped it. Jesus said, "Forgive and you will be forgiven." And I eventually released the past hurts and forgave my father. I looked beyond his faults and I saw the need. And the lesson that he taught me was a blessing, because I have been blessed with 2 magnificent daughters and a magnificent, beautiful wife sitting right there. That fox. That I've been married to for 52 years. Because she looked beyond my faults and saw the need. And even though my father is no longer here in the body, he is still here in spirit. And I can stand here on this Father's Day and say, "Daddy, I love you. I love you. Because those who loveth not knoweth not God, because God is love." So live your legacy. Live each day the way you want to be remembered. Live each day to the glory of God. Why? Because all things work together for good to them that love God and are called according to his purpose. So in all your ways acknowledge him, and he will direct your path. Because those who wait on the Lord shall renew their strength. They shall mount up with wings as eagles. They shall run and not get weary. They shall walk and not faint. Trust in God. Trust in God. Trust in God. And
God will give you the victory. Yes! Yes!